everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Buster's Beat, a podcast hosted by me, Buster Pants, local North Shore drag king, where I sit down with other artists and entertainers and talk about life, the universe, and everything. Today, my very special guest is artist and tattooer, Carly Menasco. Hi, Carly.
Hi, Buster.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so happy you wanted to be on my podcast.
Me too. I haven't done one before.
Ever?
But no, not a podcast.
On your first podcast. I'm honored. It's going to be, I hope they continue to be this caliber, because I feel like a lot of podcasts are like two people in a living room, and there's nothing wrong with that. No. But this is like here at Peabody TV. Yes. Like, it's so very professional. So I hope this really enhances your podcasting, your foray into the podcasting world.
It's definitely better than like a weird YouTube interview in my booth or something.
Have you done that before?
I have.
Okay.
Or like class projects where they're like, I need to interview somebody on video, and I'm like, cool, I'll do that.
Cool, we can do that for you. Well, we're going to interview you here on video and on audio. So tell the fine listeners we have how you identify both as a person, as an artist, whatever you want to throw out there.
I identify as she, her. Oh, man.
All of them.
The brain fog. All of them, really. Yeah, it kind of doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. But it doesn't have to be just pronoun, like the kind of art you do, the things you do in the world.
Yeah.
Cat owner.
I'm not a cat owner. I'm an animal lover, but I'm a bad animal mom. I'm too selfish to actually be a good animal mom.
That makes you probably the best kind of animal mom, because there's too many people out there who adopt animals who don't have the time for it, and then the animal suffers. So you're a great animal person.
I love dog sitting. I'll soak up all that puppy time, but it's not my responsibility at the end of the day.
That's how I feel about
vacation.
Children.
Yeah. Definitely.
Actually, I don't even like hanging out with children. I used to be a nanny, though, if you can believe that. Yeah. I
bet you were a fun nanny.
No, but I was a good nanny, because when I was a nanny and like occasionally a babysitter, my thing was like, it's not my job to make sure your kid is having fun. It's my job to make sure your kid doesn't die until you get home. So I was not a fun nanny, but I was a good nanny. Good. So, but enough about me and my nannying. So you are Carly. You are an animal lover, but not a pet haver.
Yes.
Use she, her pronouns.
I'm a full-time artist. All I want to do is paint.
Yeah.
And when I'm not painting, I'm tattooing at 9th Realm Gallery in Salem.
Love 9th Realm Gallery.
Love 9th Realm.
And I love your art. I have had the honor and the privilege of being tattooed by Carly a few times now.
It's always a delight.
It's a very good time. The first tattoo I have from you was something that you had already made. Mm-hmm. So I got like these two very different experiences.
Yeah. How was that for you?
Okay, they were both incredible. So the first time it was just like these cute mushrooms that you had already made, and I was like, all right, I don't know this artist, but that's how I like to discover new artists. So I'm like, all right, I like this art. They seem chill. I really like this tattoo studio, because everyone who works there is a delight.
Absolutely.
As far as I know.
Absolutely.
So getting that tattoo was great, because then I got to know you a little bit about your style, and then that made me feel comfortable of like, here's this really vague idea I have, if you want to do something like that, and then getting to go in where you just literally draw it on me in like the different Sharpies to like make it kind of flow. And that was the first time I've ever had anyone
like a freehand tattoo
do that. The only other time I had a freehand tattoo, it wasn't like they didn't draw it on first. They just kind of actually and it came out great. But it was just like, this was the first time I was sitting there like, oh, I get to watch the whole process.
Yeah.
So that was good for me. How was it for you?
Oh, it was great. I love freehanding tattoos. Mm-hmm. It's a lot more natural for me. Like, I get to build up the shapes, and if I don't like something, then I'm just like, no, I'll move this. Because like the human body is so contoured and three-dimensional as it should be. But when you're putting a two-dimensional thing on there, you kind of like, sometimes it warps, sometimes it doesn't like go along with the muscle just how you want it, and you can replace the stencil, no problem. But when you're drawing, like, you really get to, I don't know, have that control over where it goes. And you saw that. And we were like, we're going to make this tail a whole lot longer.
Well, we ended up getting like a scientific, well, actually, if you want this to be scientifically accurate, the tail needs to be a lot longer. So and it worked. It was a good decision. It came out really well. We had the room for it. So you have a very unique style, both in your tattooing and in your art. And there's a lot of crossover there. Your paintings and your tattoos have like a very you style. Like I can look at something and be like, oh, I know Carly did that.
It's so hard to be able to identify that myself. Like
really?
I have a really hard time because I'm like, I don't know. I see it and I'm like, yeah, that's like the Lisa Frank inspiration I grew up with, or that's like the Disney cartoons I watched over and over again, or like very specific storybooks or something.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Yeah. What are the things that do inspire you? Because you do have these very like cool, like the color palettes that you use, like the way you do things. Yeah. So Disney, Lisa Frank.
Totally.
What else? What else is going on in that brain?
I love cartoons. So like a bunch of different animated stuff. Not anime so much, but like, I don't know, Cartoon Network shows, early Nick shows.
American cartoons.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. We grew up in America. That's what we're exposed to mostly.
Yeah.
Bob's Burgers.
Bob's Burgers is great. I love like Adventure Time specifically, those little noodly arms.
Very whimsical.
Totally.
Yeah.
I've learned that like Whimsy is part of my brand.
Yes.
But it's taken me a long time to be like, oh yeah, that's Whimsy.
Have you noticed a lot, because I've only seen your art in the last like 2 years, maybe, year or two that I've known you. If you look back at your art from like 10 years ago, does it still kind of have that style, or have you noticed that like your style has changed and morphed a lot over the years? Are there things that you've left behind or aren't inspired by anymore?
Yeah, there's definitely like a callback to all the colors that I still love. Like I'm color queen. I fucking love
Rainbow.
Color. Honestly, every time like Miss Diamond comes on stage, like she's always wearing at least one thing that I'm like,
give me that.
I need it. But yeah, lots of color in early stuff. Trying to be more realistic early on instead of being like, this is how my brain wants it to look.
Yeah.
And that's like kind of bubbly and cutesy. And I've like, it's not just that for me though. My favorite bits of art are ones that leave me unsettled.
I was going to say, there is that like creepy edge to some of your art as well. Like it's very whimsical and colorful and rainbow, and they're like, is that an eyeball?
Oh, they're eyeballs.
Is there an eyeball coming out of that mushroom?
Oh, there's snot dripping down that mushroom. Why is it doing that?
Why is everything so gooey?
I don't know.
I like it though. I like being a little unsettled because cute things are. It's like that. What is it called? The uncanny valley effect, where it's like when things are almost completely accurate to how human things should look, but slightly wrong. A little uncanny valley.
I'm leaning into it. I'm leaning into the cute. I'm leaning into like
we love
what
the cute.
I like.
The whimsy. Lean into the whimsy.
Yes.
All right. So let's take it back to the beginning. How long were you always like an artsy kid? Were you always doodling?
Totally.
Like you went to the art school thing? Like take us back to like when you were first like, I am an artist. Like, even if you weren't telling other people, like, when you knew in your heart.
It was like looking at Highlights magazine.
In the doctor's office?
In the doctor's office, looking at, like, those very last pages where they would have submissions come in and seeing, like, oh, well, I could draw an island way better than that kid drew an island.
Ooh, okay. A little competitive with it.
A little competitive. Okay. So I was, like, obsessively drawing, like, beachy things, like islands and mermaids.
Pirates.
Not pirates so much. Maybe
I always remember, like, you could win, like, if you can draw this pirate just like this magazine, you can come to our art school or whatever those were.
Yeah.
I don't know if those were real.
Ads. I think
that was the beginning of AI.
I just wanted to learn send you a book.
Maybe. I don't know.
So.
I was not an artsy kid, so.
Yeah, I just spent a lot of time alone. I spent a lot of time drawing. And then when I was like 14, 15, I had, like, I knew I wanted to be an artist. Like, I thought I wanted to be an animator for a really long time. And then honestly, I was like turned away from a lot of things because of how much hard work goes into it.
Yeah,
so I was like, I don't want to be an animator because all they do is draw other people's stuff, and I want to draw my stuff. And so I set my sights on illustration, and I went to Mass Art.
Hey.
Did the illustration
I didn't go there, but I'm just like, I grew up in Boston, so I knew Mass Art kids.
Exactly. Yeah. It was good. The best part about it was the community and like being a part of an artist community. And that's really, really what I fell in love with was like the collaboration that you get and the encouragement and the inspiration from like your artistic peers. And it's really beautiful when it's a healthy situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely two sides to that coin sometimes.
Absolutely.
Now, do you feel, and answer this as comfortably as you want to,
Sure.
Or not at all, do you feel that maybe that sense of like art community, do you feel like your art and maybe queerness kind of tie into that? Because I like, as a queer person, like the drag community is so strong because like queer community is so strong because usually people are making their own families out of their friends. Is that something you relate to like as an artist, or were you with a lot of other queer artists? Or
I wasn't with a lot of queer artists. Like I very much had this outlook of like everybody's gay. Which I feel like
I don't
a
have
lot
to come out because we're all gay.
Because we're all gay, right?
We're not all gay.
What?
I always tell people they have to come out to me as straight.
Yeah, that's
like,
how it should be.
I assume everyone is gay.
Because we are. Like,
right.
Yeah. Everybody's gay.
I've had a few friends where I'm like, you want to be on my podcast? And they're like, well, I don't know if I can. And I was like, do you not identify as queer?
I think like apart from just who you're like attracted to and who you want to have relationships with, like a big part of queer community for me is being yourself and being authentic and showing up in the world the way that you want to. And it usually goes against some kind of established status quo, and you're just like bucking that tradition and letting your flag fly, like just as yourself. So in the tattoo community, my stuff feels very, I don't know, I get a lot of feedback like, oh, your style's so unique, or your stuff like isn't, I don't know. I have like the rainbow booth at a show that's glittery and sparkly,
it's
and
not
like all my
skulls
paintings
and dead bones and
there's that's still cool, but it definitely.
I've got a lot of skulls and bones tattooed.
Totally, I've got a lot of skulls and bones on me.
They're cool.
Yeah, I love them, but it like standing out doesn't always feel safe.
Yeah,
and I think that's also like part of this legacy of having grown up being queer. And
growing up being queer, growing up being an artist,
for sure.
all of that stuff. So your coming out story, if you're comfortable with that, when did you know you were queer versus when you started like publicly identifying as queer? And did your art have anything to do with that? Or was it an outlet for you? Or is any of that kind of braided in together?
Oh, it was totally an outlet.
Yeah.
I grew up in a super sheltered, conservative family of homeschoolers.
Oh, my.
So, like, my siblings and I were all homeschooled, and I just didn't know, like, anything outside of...
How many siblings do you have?
I have an older sister and a younger brother.
So you're the middle kid?
Right in the middle.
All right.
All the stereotypical middle child things. Yeah,
my sister's the middle child. She's a big stereotype, too. So
it's okay. We can all be stereotypes.
I'm the stereotype as a baby, so here I am.
What a blessing.
With my own podcast.
The baby.
I need attention. I've got my own podcast. It's true. I do. And here we are. So middle child. Homeschooled.
So Christian.
Queer
so
art kid.
But I had no idea.
Yeah.
And like I'd develop these crushes on my like super close friends and not realize that it's a crush and be like hate when they would get boyfriends and just like all the classic things. But I didn't realize I was queer until I had a friend in college be like, you talk about like ladies' butts a lot.
Like doesn't everyone?
Like if there's a great butt, it's a great butt. Like who cares?
It's not gay to like lady butts.
No,
I'm an artist.
I'm an artist.
So you think maybe that was the problem because you were an artist? These are just artistic feelings. I'm aesthetically looking at the female form, not in a gay way.
No, never in a gay way.
Never in a gay way.
There's just a nude model. It's fine.
So you had a friend who was just like, I think you're gay.
Yeah.
And
I was like, oh, maybe I am.
Maybe I am gay.
And I was engaged to my high school boyfriend at the time.
Oh, shout out to Chad.
Not a Chad, okay.
But you have to say his name.
His parents, he was in like a super Catholic family, and his parents found him like canoodling with a boy when he was like 11 or 12, and he sent him to conversion therapy.
Oh no.
So when we were together, when I was like, am I bi? And I also like ladies. I mean, I like you, yeah, like lady, like I don't know. And that was super threatening to him. So he he like just reacted and like, bruh, this can't be the way. I can't trust you with any female friends now.
Oh, no.
And like, yeah. So, and even then I was like, that's not right. Like, it doesn't ring true to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so after we broke up.
How long were you together?
2.5 years.
Okay.
But we were friends since we were like 15.
Okay.
He like wanted to have kids right away, and I was like, I want to have time to be an artist. Like, I haven't even graduated school yet, and like, no, you're not planning this
like
for me.
Early 20s.
This was early 20s.
Okay.
And then after we broke up, I was like, I'm gay.
I'm so gay.
I'm so gay.
Did he ever?
He
come out?
Did he
came out
rediscover?
to me later? Okay,
like years and years later, he just sent me like a Facebook message and was talking about how he came out to his parents, and then he told me this whole backstory, and I was like, oh my God, it all makes so much sense.
It's all coming together.
Right? So like we were queer babies, closeted, unknowing for me, knowing for him.
Yeah. Well, especially relationships in your early 20s are always just fucking weird.
Definitely.
But like when you said conversion therapy, thankfully I never had to experience anything like that. But I was always so terrified of the concept of it because A, it's terrifying, the things that they do to people in those. So to have been engaged to someone who went through that, who's trying to like, yeah, that's just so scary. So I'm really happy for this person that he then was able to leave that trauma behind and come out to his parents.
Out in Seattle.
Yeah. Okay, he's being real gay.
He's being real gay.
All right.
I hope he is.
Shout out to Chad.
Shout out to Chad.
I know, it's not his name. We won't drop names.
Oh, he would hate being called Chad.
Brad?
Brad's more appropriate,
We'll be Brad.
I think.
All right, shout out to Brad.
Shout out to Brad.
He was Chad when he was still straight, but he came out, so now he's Brad.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll take it. Yeah, that's such a, especially like now that I'm like a friend of people who are in their 20s and I'm like in my 30s, I always try not to, but end up being the friend where I'm just like, listen, when I was your age, this is how it was.
It's really hard not to be.
Well, I just do it all the time now where I'm like, listen, I'm going to say this, but I am still going to follow it up with the advice. And one of my friends, actually, before we became even really good friends, we were coworkers, and she was, dating someone, and they had been together since high school, and like things weren't going really well. And like we got drunk at a bar one night, and she was just like, I don't know. And I was like, listen, when I was your age, 'cause she was like 23 or 24 at the time. I'm like, you think at that age, like you are ready. You think you're ready to settle down. You think you're going to fall in love with the people that you're with, and you're going to be with them forever. And I'm like, I'm here to tell you, you're not.
The reality is that your brain just like
developed yet.
Just barely is gonna.
The wrinkles
end.
are just starting to fill in.
You're still smooth brain.
You're still very smooth brain. You're just a little chihuahua on a treadmill who doesn't know anything, but is very cute. But like I was in that.
I was an angry chihuahua.
Yeah. Well, that's why chihuahuas are so angry. Sorry,
so
this Chihuahua slander. Anyone out there? We love dogs.
I love a Chihuahua, honestly.
I love any dog.
Yeah.
I like the dogs that pop up at 9th Realm, to be specific.
God, those Frenchies.
The little Frenchies that wrestle each other, and then whoever has like the world's oldest dog that just like is bumping into things.
Monkey.
Love that dog.
She's so blind. She's so old.
I had an old blind dog too, so it's really nostalgic for me to be like, oh, there she goes. I had one of those once.
I think her long life is owed to how hard she is loved.
Yeah. That'll do it.
I think so.
It keeps tiny dogs alive forever.
Yeah.
They're so squished, so loved. But that like 18 to 24, I'm like, listen, if you're in a relationship at that age and you're unhappy, break up.
Just move on.
Break up.
Yep.
Because worst case scenario, you break up and then you never have to look or talk to that person again. If you're really in love with, not to be like, let them go and maybe they'll come back.
True.
But let them go, because maybe you just need that time
to finish
developing your brain, get your own personality, discover what you like or don't like about yourself and other people. And then if it's meant to be, you'll get back together as fully formed adults and actually have.
I know several couples like that.
Yeah.
They're just figuring stuff out. It's okay.
I was with someone from like 17 to 22. And like at that time, I was like, yeah, I guess this is it. I guess we are going to get married and have babies. And we never got engaged and we never even got close. But like he was ready to. Yeah. I know, crazy. I usually have to like come out as bi. People just assume that I'm like full lesbian. And I'm like, no, I'll still sleep with men. They got to be pretty gay themselves, though, is the thing.
That's the best, though.
Yeah, it really is. But like this was a straight only child male of like late in life parents. And his parents were a delight, but they were like, he is everything to us because we had him when we were 50. And I was like, oh my God. And he was ready to get married and have kids at like 18.
No.
And like every year our relationship was just like, okay, well, maybe someday. I don't ever want to get married and have kids. But I remember being 18 being like, well, let's talk about it in a year. Let's talk about it in another year. And really the whole time my brain was just being like, you have to get out of this. You need an excuse. But like when you're that age, you're like, no, this is it. This is love. I'm going to be in this forever.
For me, it wasn't my brain telling me. It was my body. Like the worst IBS, like just internal stress of like not expressing my truth.
Like I'm not sleeping well. My stomach's really bad. But like I have this partner who I, mostly love. I'm like,
I feel like this could be better for you.
Yeah, when the mental things become physical, that's really when it's time to work on that.
Yeah, and surprise, surprise, it all went away after we broke up. So
yeah.
There you go.
That will happen.
It will.
That will happen. I mean, not always. There are plenty of people out there in healthy relationships with IBS, but
I was so like programmed to be like Christian good girl, and like my parents went when my mom was 14 and my dad was 19, and they got married when she was 18, and now like I don't know, I watch they're
still married.
Today's their 41st wedding anniversary.
That's nice.
So it's really nice.
All right, and they still like each other.
They're obsessed with each other.
I love that.
I do too.
Yeah,
but not every not 14, 19-year-old relationship turns out that way. But I grew up thinking like that was the goal. I better find my husband.
I'm 14, the clock is ticking.
Yeah. Where is he? Good old Christian girl. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that still happens a lot too. I remember being like, the 25 to 30 range, which is when I feel like a lot of our generation's parents were usually already married and having kids by then. So I know a lot of people who got married between that 25 to 30 because they're like, well, that's what our parents did. I don't want to get married when I'm old, like when I'm 31.
Gross.
How disgusting. And it's like, how many of those people are actually still together? How many weddings did I go to in my 20s where they're actually still together?
A lot. A handful.
I did go to a lot of weddings where I was just the mysterious stranger as well, which is my favorite thing to be at a wedding. So if anyone needs a wedding date, I clean up real nice. I show up. I don't say anything to anyone. And, I'm a very good judge of weddings as well.
How long were you living I don't know, a straight life for? When was your
I've never been straight.
Never. I remember hearing you say something like that.
No, I always joke around that I came out gay from even before I was birthed. My mom was putting non-binary vibes on me by accident because she was like, well, I have a boy, I have a girl, so the spare will be
Despair.
It's covered either way. Like, it doesn't matter. And I was like, oh, in the womb, like, it doesn't matter what my gender is. Well, I guess I'll do all of it then.
So you were just always that mysterious wedding guest.
Yes, I've always been a mysterious wedding guest of a baby. Well, this might get way too into it, but I'm going to say it because we're here.
Go for it.
I was conceived by drunk wedding sex.
Oh my God. So this is your legacy.
I love weddings, man. Truly. And the only reason I know that so specifically is because my parents are weird. And, when you're a kid and you're like, oh, well, like, did you want me to be a boy or a girl? And my mom was like, well, that doesn't matter as long as you were healthy. And I was like, but what did you want? And she was like, I really didn't care because I had a girl and I had a boy. So either way, you were getting hand-me-downs from one of them.
Oh, my God.
So if we got you anything new, it would just be green because that's gender neutral, which to this day is still my favorite color.
There you go.
But the name game was she had a name picked out for me, whatever my gender happened to fall on. And if I was born a boy, my name would have been Matthew Fitzwilliam. Oh. After Fitzwilliam, New Hampshire, where I was conceived.
Oh, my God.
Which was at a wedding in the summer. And the only picture I've seen of my mom from that wedding, she's like holding a tray of champagne and just like beaming. And I was like, so my parents got drunk they got drunk at that wedding and fucked. And here I am.
Here you are.
Here I am. 9 months
glory.
and a few weeks later, because I was also a late baby. Because I'm a Taurus. You're a Taurus too. Yeah. Did you... When was your birthday?
April 28th.
April 28th. Yeah. That's actually my mom's birthday.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
My mom's Taurus. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. It all. My mom is a Taurus rising with a Capricorn moon.
Oh, so much Earth.
It's so much Earth. And I'm a Taurus Virgo rising with a Gemini moon.
I was going to say, I know there's some Gemini in there.
Yeah. So I cry a lot. My mom's like, I don't get it. I'm like, it's fine. I'm fine. She's like, all right. Well, when you're done, you let me know. I'm like, okay. Oh. No, she's nice. She's nice to me, but she doesn't cry that much. So she's just like, you're my baby and I love you and I'm sad that you're sad. But like, why are you crying? And I'm like, I don't know. I just am.
I feel like astrology has turned into like my religion. Like I'm no longer.
It's because we're queer.
Yeah, it's the religion of the queers.
Well, people make fun of like astrology girlies, and I'm like, okay, but if you're queer and you grew up Christian, I grew up super Catholic, like queer people, I think, especially if you grew up in like a religious upbringing, like the both of us did, it's not. Well, I'm queer, so I guess I'm an atheist. Like you crave some sort of spiritual connection to the universe. And because astrology is not homophobic, it's a really good thing for a lot of us to lean into. So it's gotten a bad rap over the years. And especially when there's all these different like apps that you can have on your phone that like, not that they're problematic, but it's just like, okay, well, the newspaper gave me one sentence about what a Taurus is about. So that's my religion. I'm like, you're missing so much.
And it's like a lot of the older stuff is so heteronormative in its approach. So it's like, Taurus man and Aquarius woman together, and that's how it goes.
Don't do that.
But no, don't do that.
Don't do that. Let's see the rest of those charts before we suggest those two get together. So that's the internet has given astrology a pretty bad rap, but I think it's fun.
I think it's pretty great.
I think it's a great socializing tool as well. As someone who's like not particularly extroverted, I have something I can kind of cling to.
There's a little bit of a shorthand too. Yeah. If you start telling somebody about your Gemini moon and they're like, oh my God, yeah, I totally see that.
Yeah. I did a show recently down in Providence. They do a monthly show called Astrology. It's so
Tell
good.
me more.
It's run by Mosaic Creatives. Okay. It's like their little production thing. And they don't hire just people of that season, but they have like 2 or 3 performers. So I went during the Taurus one.
Okay.
But they have people like all throughout the chart. So one of the people who runs the show like has all these little like blurbs. So in everybody's bio, they kind of throw in all these different like astrological facts, and it was a lot of fun. So I highly recommend that if you're ever down in Providence.
All right.
You can follow them online.
Astrology.
But it was a really good show. But it's fun to be around that because, you know, you walk into the room and people are like, oh, you're a Taurus and you're a Taurus. Okay, the energy is going to be like this in here. And it was like, it's really easy. Like there's a lot of it that's bullshit, of course.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of bullshit in Christianity.
There's so much bullshit in Christianity.
Yeah.
But like I have an Aquarius moon, which is also an air sign. So like our moons talk to each other pretty easy.
Yeah.
And our Taurus is just really chill.
Yeah.
And we both appreciate beauty.
That's true. We love the aesthetic pleasures. We like good conversation. I always tell people I'm a Gemini moon, so I like to talk shit. Which isn't, I don't like to actually, you know, make things up about people, but like I do find that I process my feelings easier if I speak about them.
You're an external processor.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's, you know, I got a Gemini moon, so I got to like talk about my feelings a lot.
I'm a Libra rising. So, man, I love some gossip. Yeah.
You want the tea?
I want the tea.
Well, it's my sister and my longest running best friend are both Libras.
Yeah.
So, and my brother's a Gemini. So I grew up around a lot of air signs. So a lot of my close friends are Libras and Geminis. But I don't know that when I'm making those friends. But like we're hanging out for so long and then it comes up and I'm like, oh, you're a Libra. Okay.
That makes
sense. I get it. At one point in my life, I had two roommates who were both Geminis.
Yeah.
There's a lot of energy in that house. People were like, how many people do you live with? I'm like, it's only two, but it feels like four. So, you know.
Definitely.
At least you got to charge Geminis those extra
the
rent.
surcharge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a lot of hate for this.
I love a Gemini.
We love Geminis. Usually. Until we see their other side.
There are no signs that I'm like, this is trash. Like, there are signs that I'm like, I probably won't date a Virgo, but that's me and like where stuff falls in my chart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
But it's not like, I also love Virgos, so.
Yeah. And anytime I like pick a sign to be like, oh, I don't really get along with those. And then I'll have like 3 close friends be like, well, that's my sign. And I'm like, okay, but I used to like Aries a lot. I'd be like, I don't really get along with Aries because I worked at a job that had 1 million Aries and they were all a nightmare to work with. But over the years, I'm just like, oh, well, I like this person and they're an Aries.
Totally.
Like Pee Wee Vermin is an Aries. And I was like, you're an Aries? You do not give any kind of energy that I've ever had from an Aries. But I'm like, that's good. There should be exceptions to my rules. So now I'm not like, oh, I don't like Aries. I'm like, I like some.
It's because
I proceed with caution.
Yeah, it's just a snapshot of like the whole sky when you're born, and there's always stuff. Even if there isn't like a major planet in a sign, then like that sign still affects that area of life for you. For like, I don't know, I'm gonna get nerdy with like houses and stuff.
Please do.
But like, yeah, I don't have anything in my 6th house, which is like health and work and organization, but it's Pisces. And I'm a very disorganized kind of go with the flow, trust my gut person when it comes to those environments.
Fish swimming around.
So like there's some Pisces for me. Like,
there it is.
Yeah.
All right.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. It's just astrology.
It's just
our religion.
It's just fun.
We're just a couple of religiously traumatized Tauruses making our way through the world with astrology.
That's how we do.
Yeah. I do a lot of, I feel like I heal a lot of religious trauma for people by accident because I do a lot of like priest numbers.
Oh my God.
Padre Pants. Padre Pants is, bringing it home for that Catholic trauma for people. So
I think the first time I saw Padre Pants was at the Halloween show at Direwolf, and
the upstairs
as he blew his pants off, he blew my pants off. It was a great show.
Well, that's usually when people are like, oh, bust your pants. You gonna bust pants tonight? I was like, well, maybe not mine. Maybe somebody's.
Just there were more reveals than I had expected, and it kept going.
Well, it's Halloween. You got to bring it.
Oh, my God. It was great. It was top tier.
Thank you.
Top tier drag.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes. I try. I do my best. But I ended up getting I did so many, back when I did burlesque, and now that I do drag, so many priest numbers with people, and like priest and nun things, that I finally went out and got ordained, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Universal Life Church, you can just pay $20 and they'll do it. But like now I've like
Have you
officiated weddings.
Yeah.
Bringing it back to weddings. I am like, as someone who never wants to get married, I've been maid of honor twice.
Oh.
I've been best man once. And I have officiated weddings.
Man.
So usually when people like get engaged, I'm like, listen, I'm not a wedding planner. However, I have a lot of strong opinions about how everyone's wedding should go. So you should use me as a resource. You know, I put that out there to all of you. DM Buster Pants. I know things.
All the wedding stuff.
I know things, yeah.
I've been a part of many weddings, and I love my friends, and I'm thankful to have been a part of those experiences, but I don't need to be in another wedding.
No? How many have you done, like maid of honor?
I've done like
bridesmaid stuff.
Yeah.
What color was the dress?
Oh, there was navy, there was green, there was like a coral pink.
Oh no.
Another navy. Yeah, I'm good. It's just 4 weddings, but like I'm good on that.
That's still thank you. So you were maid of honor or bridesmaid?
No, just bridesmaid.
4 times?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
You got a lot of friends.
It's a lot of pictures. You get a lot of friends. Yeah. It's okay.
I've been, thankfully, most of the weddings I've been involved in have been very small. Mm-hmm. Which is nice. So like there's only ever like a few of us hanging out. When my sister got married, she just had a maid of honor and a matron of honor. Her best friend who was already married and her sister. And that was it. She was like, I don't need 12 people in matching dresses hanging out. So that was really nice, low stress. She did get married twice to the same guy. But we had like a hometown wedding because my grandmother was very old at the time and couldn't fly. And then she had like a destination wedding. Okay. So even though I was the maid of honor once, it was two separate weddings. It was 2 different dresses.
I'd count that as 2. Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah. And then when my best friend got married a few years ago, it was me and 2 other people as the bridesmaids. And then like her sisters were like junior bridesmaids. I don't really know what the legal difference in the wedding community.
It's like a step up from flower girl, but not.
I'm like, what is they're teenagers. It's fine. But there was actually another girl in this wedding who like, they're not friends anymore. And I'm not going to name names, of course, but I'm sure this person would never listen to this podcast anyway. But this girl was so convinced that when she was asked to be a bridesmaid, she was like, I am the maid of honor.
Obviously, I'm the maid of honor. And it got to the
point where I had to go to my friend to be like, listen, I love you. You did ask me to be your maid of honor, but this girl is crazy enough. If you need me to step down, I'll do it. Because I don't want you. Or it's like, or I can tell her, but she thinks she's your maid of honor. You need to tell her that she's not. And they're not friends. She's interesting human being. But she was like trying to plan like the bachelorette party out from under me. And I planned the perfect we had a great time, including her. She had a great time.
What'd you guys do?
We went up to Portland.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And we went to like 2 different distilleries and did like some classy tastings. We went out to a really nice seafood restaurant, had like a huge dinner, and then we went out to like see a band that night.
That sounds great.
It was a great time. My friend's one thing was like, please no strippers. And I was like, girl, I love you. I know you don't want anyone's anything in your face. I would not do that to you.
That's a friend.
If you want a cocaine and strippers bachelorette party,
you would figure it out.
I would make that work for you, but I know you're not that person. But like I messaged everyone to be like, hey, this is the plan. We're staying at this hotel. This is the band we're going to go see. Here's where we're going to go eat. The end. And she was like, well, I think, and I was like, no, you can come to this or you can throw your own thing with her on your own time. But this is what we're doing. Taurus, baby. Taurus, Virgo rising. Don't mess with my plans.
Don't do it. My favorite bachelorette party was one last year, actually. It was just like a pool party, and we smoked a bunch of weed, and she had a masseuse come over, and like, you know, I maybe feel bad for the masseuse, but like, because we were all covered in like sunscreen and pool water. They probably
made a lot of money.
But she made a lot of money. Yeah. Like, good tips. Yeah. Good job, Pam. Yeah.
That's and that's the nice thing, I think, too, when people are finally getting married a little bit older than 19. You know, you don't feel like you need to do a pile of cocaine at a strip club.
You need to live up to the expectation of a stereotype of what a wedding is.
You got to have someone pop out of a cake. Ugh.
No, thank you.
It's just a pain to transport that big of a cake is the problem.
Have you popped out of a cake?
No, not yet.
Would you like the opportunity to?
Here's the thing. It would have to be a fake cake because I have a gluten allergy. So I could not, and like to have a gluten-free cake be that big would be so expensive.
And structurally unsound, probably.
Structurally unsound.
Yeah.
So I would pop out of something resembling a cake if I was paid enough money. I wanted to. It was Maxine's birthday the other day, and she did a night of 1,000 Maxines was the theme.
Yes.
And originally I couldn't do it. I was supposed to be at a music festival that night, but I ended up going to the next day. So I reached out to her to be like, listen, I can be in it if you want. And she was like, please do it. And I was like, okay, don't tell anyone else.
Okay.
So I snuck in through like the kitchen to like pop up. And the whole theme was like everyone had to dress as Maxine and do her number. So she knew I was going to be there, but she didn't know I was going to come in full Maxine drag.
So full surprise.
So everybody got a little surprise. Like I was just in the kitchen and like, Miss Michael poked her head back to be like, what are you doing here? Why do you look like this? And it was a really good time. But originally I wanted to pop out of a cake, but I was like, man, even a cardboard cake on Amazon costs like $200. So I just had a piece of cloth that I
dropped it. That's
perfect.
Reveal.
So it all worked out.
Excellent.
Yeah. So let's swerve on back to my list instead of weddings and astrology. Okay. Enough about me. You're my guest. Let's talk about 9th Realm.
Okay.
Because I love 9th Realm.
I love 9th Realm.
And that's where I discovered you.
Yeah.
But how did you come to 9th Realm? How do you like it there? Do you mind if we plug them a little bit?
Not at all.
Right, so
plug 9th Realm.
Because were you in Portland, before you moved back to Salem?
I was.
Do the whole journey.
The whole journey.
Okay.
I moved to Portland during the pandemic because I really needed a change of pace, and I was like, this is gonna be it. Portland, Oregon is super gay.
You moved to Portland during the pandemic.
Okay. So I landed just as the riots were ending. The skies were orange with fire.
Full apocalypse.
Full apocalypse mode. And I'm like,
got your little bindle over your shoulder.
Yeah, it was definitely just a stick and a bandana.
Yeah.
It was really hard for me to find my way in Portland. Everything was shut down or half
closed.
Shut down. Yeah. And I didn't have a car, so I was using public transit, which is pretty solid. But I lived in a tiny little borough and then had to go the long ass way around to get to any studio.
Yep.
And Portland does weird tattoo stuff because they have super strict tattoo rules.
Interesting.
I
like what?
What do you mean? You have to go to tattoo school, and the cheapest one is $6,000.
So even if you're already a licensed,
so because I had years of being licensed here in Massachusetts, I could get in through reciprocity, but I just snuck in under the wire.
You're like, it's the pandemic. No one's watching.
It's the pandemic. My Massachusetts license is about to expire. So, I better take this hour-and-a-half written exam. And I passed, because I tattooed out there.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. It was weird, though. Very, very cliquey. Not quite I don't know. Salem's so gay and so
It is now.
It is now.
It is now.
But it always has been just accepting of any kind of weird. And I did not feel that way in Portland.
Yeah. And Portland loves to brag about how weird they are, but you have to be Portland weird.
You have to be Portland weird, and you have to be part of the, there's crunchy weird, and then there's sex work weird, and then there's I don't know, there's a big counterculture of conservative because Portland is so progressive. Oh. Just counterculture develops in general.
Yeah.
And they're we're the underdog now, and it's there's a Proud Boy rally at a Kmart, and it's it just wasn't my scene, and that's okay.
And how long were you there for?
I was there for 2 years.
Okay.
And then year and a half, I was I saw my sister, and she was like, you don't look like yourself.
You're not enjoying this.
You're not okay. Like, you're surviving, not thriving. And I got my shit together and moved back out here in like 3 months, which I think that's just, I think that's like divine timing lining up with like personal motivation, and I made it happen. But I was friends with the folks at 9th Realm for a couple years. We had done like a painting class, like a week-long painting thing in Western Mass in 2018. And then so they invited me there for a guest spot because one of their artists was going out on maternity leave, Jess Brown.
I just got a tattoo from Jess recently.
Did you?
Yeah,
What'd you get?
It's like a little matchbook with a ghost coming out of it.
I love that set. Oh, Jess is so good.
Yeah. She's a good time.
Yeah, she's fucking great.
Yeah.
But yeah, because she was like, I'm having a baby. I snuck in there for like an extended guest spot. And then Leanne, one of the owners and the shop manager.
Love Leanne. Hey, Leanne, if you're watching.
Hey, Leanne. She likes to say that she trapped me by like leaving candy and like sweet things around.
There is a lot of candy at that shop, which I appreciate as a sweet tooth.
It's necessary.
Yeah.
Also, like your blood sugar dips in the middle of a tattoo and you're like, I got to keep going. I guess I'll have this Milky Way.
It's never happened to me. I feel like I come to a tattoo appointment very prepared. I actually eat a meal or two beforehand.
Some people
I hydrate.
Don't. Yeah. Oh man, hydrating and having a good night's sleep, that's the
Goes
best.
a long way.
It really does. Yeah. If you're tired, if you're hungover, like no, you don't want to. You don't want to get tattooed
in a car
that way.
accident.
Oh my god,
my friend did
those
that one.
tattoos.
Yeah.
Like, are you okay? Go home. Bye.
Yeah, my friend asked me for a tattoo ride. This was a few years ago. She was like, I'm going to a tattoo appointment, but my car's in the shop. Can you take me? And I was like, yeah, sure. We get to the shop. She's setting up. And she gets like 15 minutes into the appointment. And then it comes up like, yeah, I was in a car accident this morning. And me and the artist were just like, What? And she's like, yeah, so I'm just like kind of tired. She's like getting a tattoo down her neck.
Oh, my God.
And the tattoo artist was like, listen, if you're not feeling it, you should probably just go to the doctor rather than be here. She's like, if you want me to keep going, I will. Like, you're fine. But also, we should not do this whole tattoo today.
Right.
So that was good artist, good ethical.
Artist. Yeah.
Who was like, listen, I know you paid me. We can like reschedule some of that.
Right. Like we take deposits, but life happens and there are extenuating circumstances, and like just communicate about it.
Your car got totaled and you still want this on your neck? Okay.
It's okay. Sure.
Have another Kit Kat.
Gotta work out some of that stress. Yeah, have a Kit Kat.
But you got entrapped by Leanne's
I got
Kit
entrapped by
Kats.
Leanne's Kit Kats.
Yep. And the dogs.
And obviously, oh my God. Yeah,
I love those dogs.
There was just Nimue at the time, and she's a Leo with a Cancer moon.
That makes sense.
And she's just so nurturing and wants to be loved all the time. Yeah, fucking love that dog. Wow. And then they got a second one. Nugget. Oh
Nugget.
My God. And she is a
rascal.
She's a rascal. She's the last day of Scorpio with, I think, a Taurus moon. So like we get along great.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I probably have spent more time in that shop just playing with those dogs than I've gotten tattooed there at this point.
I mean, same. Yeah. Maybe doing tattoos for me. They're so good.
They are good.
They're good little therapy dogs.
And I like to get my nails done next door, like that nail place. So I'll like get my nails done and then pop in and be like, "Are the dogs here? I can take them for you."
It's a great time.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good little spot.
Yeah.
So you've been there. So you snuck in for like the maternity gap. You got trapped in.
Oh no!
How long have you been there? 2 years.
I've been here for a year and a half now. A little over a year and a half.
All right.
Yeah, it's wild to be surrounded by so many talented artists, but it always encourages me to like be better and to try harder. And there's just like a wealth of knowledge, and everybody's so open to sharing that knowledge.
Yeah.
And like actually giving critique and feedback. And never in front of a client, but like
just in the middle of a tattoo, like you shouldn't be doing that.
That's wrong. That's wrong. I don't know. I've been in places where like that's kind of the culture.
I was gonna say the vibe at 9th Realm is immaculate. There's not a single person there who has ever made me feel weird, who's never made anyone else feel weird. Like from the second you walk in to like the other tattoo artists who kind of like poke their head in and be like, what are you doing?
Oh, for sure.
I've been to tattoo shops where it's like, oh, this one person who's tattooing me is cool. What is everybody else's deal? Or like, just a lot of unsolicited advice or like tattoo idea shaming. One of the first times I went to go get tattooed when I was really young, I went to this place because a friend of mine, it was full of red flags, but we were 18. She was dating a tattoo artist who was in his 30s. Mm-hmm. We were in high school, 18.
Cool.
That should have been a bad sign. But she was like, yeah, we're 18. He'll give us discounted tattoos. Let's go. So we go to the place and I'm immediately like, this guy is sketchy. He's dating an 18-year-old who's still in high school. And I like told him what I wanted and he was like, that's stupid. And I was like, okay. So I just left.
Rude.
I left and I went to another tattoo shop and got that tattoo done. And the guy was like, oh, he's like, it's small, but like, it's not stupid. If that's what you want, I'll put it on your body and it's fine.
Dude, that's what's up.
And I still have it and it's chill. And unfortunately, I mean, good for this guy, but like I got a tattoo from him and I was like, this guy's great. He's going to do all my tattoos. Moved to Hawaii. Moved to Salem.
Man,
found a tattoo artist that I really liked. I was like, I'm going to come back and get tattoos from this guy. Moved to Japan.
I know I left some people hanging, both here in Salem when I moved to Portland and then in Portland when I came back to Salem.
They can come visit.
They can.
Our weird is better.
They have.
Yeah.
Our weird is better.
Our weird is better. Sorry, Portland.
Better.
Sorry we don't have a cool show about... Sorry we don't have Salemlandia.
Put a witch on it.
Put a witch on it. We probably should at this point.
I mean, that's how it goes.
Could we also get Kyle MacLachlan to play our mayor, though? Because he's the mayor in Portlandia, which I think is incredible.
He is.
Ninth Realm, I think, is probably one of the most supportive local businesses to queer life, particularly the drag scene.
Actively so.
You guys have sponsored so much stuff.
Because we fucking care about artists.
You guys are putting your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
You guys are also sponsoring the upcoming Lip Syncapalooza.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
I'm excited I get to judge it this year.
Oh my God, you're going to be a judge?
I'm going to be a judge.
Ooh.
Maxine and I are both judging along with Chola Spears. So Chola Spears won. Maxine and I both lost round one. So I'm like, yeah, everybody's favorite losers and then the winner. It was an experience for me. I always say I actually won because we all got paid the same. And then there was like a grand prize for the winner. But like we all got paid the same. So I got paid that amount to work for 2 minutes.
Oh.
And then I got to watch the show.
Oh my God.
Everybody else had to like wait for their turn. And then if they went on to the next round, they had to do that. So, losing first and then getting to enjoy the show.
Option. Yeah.
I just smoked a lot outside and then I'd listen through the door and I'd be like, oh, I got to go back in and watch. So it was disappointing to lose because I hate losing, but that's also, I hate competing. So I usually don't do things like that. But at the end of the day, I'm like, you got paid the most technically hourly. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It'll be nice this year to get to sit in judgment of everyone else, to be like, they don't know what I had to do.
These kids don't
lost. Because, you have to memorize like 10 songs.
Okay. And then a handful of them aren't your vibe, but maybe two or three of them are.
There wasn't a single song on that list that I was like, man, I hope I get this. Like they were all equally like, oh no, which was fine. Because then I was like, well, I have to memorize them all equally. There was like a good range of styles and stuff. So I think like when Diamond put like Linkin Park on the list, I think she thought she was like throwing me a little something there. And I was like, that's
tiny bone.
That's fine, but it's not really my style of, you know, drag. And then I ended up, I got selected. So I ended up doing Barbra Streisand.
As Buster Pants.
Because I was the first person on like the wheel to get selected. So I had to choose who I was competing against, and then they got to choose the song. So I chose Atlas, who's an incredible drag queen who's based out of Boston. And I was like, I basically picked it on like, who do I feel the most comfortable losing to? And I knew, like, I was like, I don't even have a chance against Chola. I love Chola. We've been working on and off with her for years whenever she comes to town. But I was like, and then I was like, Atlas is congenial. She's a great performer. She always looks good. I was like, I don't know what she's going to pick, but maybe I'll have a chance, but I'll be okay with losing to her.
Yes.
And then, 30 seconds into a Barbra Streisand song, she took her top off and had her like chest played out. And I was like, how do I even, there's nothing. I just had to just go get through the rest of the song to be like, all right. And then I lost, and then I smoked a lot of weed. So
it was a good night.
It was a good night. Yeah. It was a good night overall. But yeah, it'll be a lot more fun to actually just get to sit and relax. So,
Ninth Realm.
We love Ninth Realm.
We love Ninth Realm.
Especially because of how supportive they are to the drag community around here in Salem. The vibes are immaculate. Everyone who works there is talented and kind. Really clean bathrooms.
Oh man, our bathroom game is strong.
The bathroom there is it's relaxing. Like the lighting's good. There's interesting things in there to look at.
Yeah, the bathroom's great. I worked at a place in Portland where that guy just talked endlessly about how rude it is to blow up someone's bathroom. And I'm like, we're in a tattoo studio where like people are stressed and like they eat food.
And then they're there all day.
And then they're there all day and you expect them not to have to take a shit? Like what?
No.
We have a very poop-friendly bathroom.
Yeah.
With like candles, poopery, plants. It's so peaceful in there.
It's a vibe. Yeah. That's very rude. If you're at a tattoo shop and people are like, I can't believe people shit here. I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Of course, they're sitting for an 8-hour session. They had to eat like 3 meals before coming here, so you don't think they're going to poop once? Even a little?
Even a little bit.
Little rabbit tail. And how dare you if it smells? Like, oh my God.
We're all human.
Everybody poops one way or another. The last thing I wanted to talk about is like tattoo conventions and like the art convention things that you do. So talk a little bit about that. Like you did there's one, it's called like wet paint.
That was at the Hell City Tattoo Convention in Columbus. There's another Hell City in Phoenix in August, and I'll be going into that too. But the wet paint is just like live paint happening.
At the tattoo convention, so you get like kind of the both worlds. Okay.
And most of the artists who do the wet paint project are also tattooers, but we have some who are just fine artists. And it's such a cool environment to get to have feedback from other artists who work in totally different mediums and like totally different styles. And it's made me, like, they used to be really scary for me, but for the fear of like rejection or people being like, this art is stupid, or this art,
I hate this,
this is dumb. But like nobody says that. And even if they, like, the rejection that happens is like somebody will glance at the table and then like walk the other way, and I'm like, oh cool, it's not for them. And like receiving that rejection honestly has been like really helpful and being like, oh, this didn't break me entirely. Cool. I'm still alive. Awesome. I made it through. But I just like sold the most paintings at this last show that I've ever done at a single show.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It feels great.
Is it weird to travel with art?
Yes.
Like, I assume you're flying, or you drive?
I drove to this last show. I'm going to be flying to Phoenix. But I like packed up everything and made little corners for my framed pieces and was like, please make it safe.
Please don't break.
Please don't break.
You hit a pothole and you're like, no.
Everything's clenched the whole ride. Traveling with it's weird. Setting up is weird. But once you're there and like...
Worth it.
It's so worth it.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. It's that art community, though, right? About being supported by your peers and encouraged, and I don't know. It's so inspiring.
Oh, yeah. Do you have other conventions that you do more locally? Because I know that, like, Boston has a tattoo convention. Worcester has a tattoo convention.
I'm going to be doing the Boston one. That's in the first weekend in October.
Okay.
And then I feel like there are a couple more. And they're slipping my mind.
No pressure.
They're more like towards the end of the summer, in the fall.
Sweet. Is that like convention season for the most part in New England, do you think? Like, do they all kind of find?
They all kind of find their own space and time, and sometimes like stuff is happening at one convention and you want to be at that one, but you're booked at another one.
Oh, no.
And you're like, oh, I can't go to Due South because I'm doing Detroit. Like, yeah.
Been there.
Have you?
Well, not for tattoos.
But like drag events happening.
Drag events where you get, like, especially now, Pride is just around the corner.
Oh my God, yeah.
And, you know, we started booking Pride in like March and April is when we like start getting the ball rolling. So like people who are reaching out like this week to be like, hey, we have this Pride event. And I'm like,
my calendar's full. Sorry.
It's pretty full. And like the days that aren't full right now, I'm like, I need to remember to take days off because I'm really bad about giving myself days off.
It's so
I've got a lot of like 2 and 3 day gigs or 3 gigs in one day kind of situation. But I do have days off. So we're working on it. But yeah, it is hard when you like get booked for something and then someone else is like, can you do this? And I'm just like, I can't, and I really want to. And I experience it too when I'm like, I'll book someone and they'll be like, oh, I really want to, and I'm so sorry I can't. And here's all the reasons. I'm like, you can just say no. But at the same time, I'm like, I get it because I also want to give people that kind of answer where I'm like, it's not you, it's me. And I'm like, it is me. I know it is.
It's hard to say no.
It is hard to say no, especially like when you're working in the arts, you know, whether it's tattooing, whether it's drag, whether it's burlesque, because it's like, well, if I say no to this gig, are they never going to ask me again? Right? Am I shooting myself in the foot? Is there someone who's going to be there who's going to offer me something else?
And like there are slow times in the arts too, and you're like, there's this pressure of like, well, I gotta make hay while the sun shines, however that phrase goes. Like, I don't know. Phrases.
I'm a city kid. Make hay while the sun shines. That's
yeah. Maybe I don't know. But yeah, just being overbooked. It's hard. It's hard to,
and overblessed.
Overblessed. I like that.
Thank you. And to round things out for the end of our podcast, is there anything you want to plug? Tell us about yourself, your Instagram, anything like that.
My Instagram is at Carly, which is CAHHHLY.
Nice.
That's 3 H's.
Carly.
I respond to Carly, but you know that's the New England way. And then you can follow 9th Realm Gallery at the number 9 THGALLERY. 9th Realm Gallery.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything?
Those are on Instagram. I don't know. I don't have anything coming up.
That's all right.
Really.
Yeah.
Just working at the shop.
Working
away.
Do you have days that you do and don't tattoo? Best way for people to reach out?
I'm there Wednesday through Sunday. And the best way to reach out is to either like come by and say hi or shoot us an email. Yeah. And then we'll get back to you and you'll be like, oh, here's my idea.
Great.
That's how it goes.
I can highly recommend, as someone who's gotten multiple tattoos there, particularly from Carly, both, you know, the flash side and the custom drawn straight onto my flesh, both have delivered. And they both look great. Very saturated.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'd love to get a pic of that little thresher shark.
He's so good. So good. He's probably really dry right now, but I'll moisturize.
Just put a little spit on it or something. Yeah.
Well, great. That brings us to the end of our podcast. So thank you, everybody out there who has been watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify. I'm going to remember to plug my own Instagram and email if you ever want to reach out to me with any questions about being a guest or for me or for future guests. If there's stuff where you're like, hey, here's some things you could have gotten into. I love ideas. Please don't send me hate mail, but my Instagram is at PantsBuster and my email is thebusterpants@gmail.com. So please feel free to respectfully contact me about the show or about drag shows or anything like that. And as always, I have a monthly show at Bit Bar for drag kings and things. So if you're someone who's looking to get into shows, I have a Google form on my Instagram link tree situation, and yeah, anything else is going to be too time sensitive to plug because this won't come out for a few weeks. So thank you once again for listening, and thank you to Peabody TV for letting us do that here. And thank you to my producer, Randall, behind me in the booth, making sure that everything is going smoothly and sounds wonderful. So stay tuned for the next one. We'll see you, and have a good day. Have a good Pride. Bye.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Yes.
Bye.